Hello everyone, my name is Victoria Ramirez. This is SOCI1306, and this is my presentation, Don't Look Away. It is about sexual assault, and this is something I have been working on for a long time. Sexual assault has been my topic for the duration of the class, and I feel like I have a good grasp on the statistics, the research, and everything surrounding sexual assault, and because of this, I feel like I have a clearer picture of sexual assault and how bad it actually is in the United States. And with the research and everything, I am actually surprised at how often it is ignored and how it is not talked about enough. And it just surprises me. And with the recent allegations of political leaders and everything, it should be taken much more seriously because it happens to a lot of people, and it is heartbreaking. And I hope with this presentation, it helps you understand how truly bad it is. And I want to get more people to understand, and I want people to step in more. So I hope you enjoy my presentation. So first, what is sexual assault? Well, sexual assault is defined as an act of sexual abuse where a person intentionally sexually touches another person without consent by either persuading them against their will or physically demanding it. To put it into simple words, it is when someone sexually abuses someone when they say no, or they do not have the ability to say yes. And what I mean by that is they're either asleep, they're either drugged or drunk, or they're unconscious, and they physically cannot say yes. That is the most important thing. Someone must say yes. Both parties must say yes in order the sexual intimacies to be consentful. It is very important, and a lot of people do not understand that. So if the word no comes out of another party and the assaulter does not understand that and continues to either persuade them or physically demand it, that is when it becomes sexual assault. And it has been a problem for a very long time. And people need to understand how bad it is, and it needs to bring more attention to this problem. So why is it a genuine problem in the United States, and why should I be making a presentation about it? Well, the first big problem is the mental health of the victims and the mental toll they can receive after the sexual assault. So mental health is already a big issue in the United States, and someone physically demanding sexual pleasures from a victim, can corrupt their mind, corrupt their body, and we'll get more into it, but mental health is a huge issue that can lead to other issues. And the second reason is it actually happens to more than half of the women in the United States and 1/3 of men in the United States. And if we add that together, that is more than half of the people in the United States that have been sexually assaulted or will be sexually assaulted. And yes, women do get sexually assaulted more than men, but that does not mean that men are ignored. It is happening to both parties, both sexes, and it happens to a more type of person than another person, but it still happens to at least half of the Americans in the United States. And a third reason are the physical problems and changes people could gain from the assault. So physical problems, I'm talking about the bruises, broken bones, concussions, and then the changes people can receive. They can become less trustworthy. They isolate themselves, and I'll get more into it. But these three problems, there are way more problems, but I feel as if these problems are the biggest reasons why it should be taken as a genuine problem in the United States. So first is the mental toll a victim can have. So already, as I said, mental health is a huge problem in the United States. It is mostly ignored. It is sometimes frowned upon. Some people say it is fake. Some people say the newer generation, Gen Z, they use it as an excuse to get out of work, but it is an actual problem, and it is gaining more of a surface, but people still tend to make fun of it and ignore the problem. And if a victim is sexually assaulted, that just simply worsens the load of the mental health they may already have. Mental health they can get from stress, they can get from family problems, they can get from school, work, and just life in general can bring mental health issues. Sexual assault can lead to a ton of more issues. And it can lead to short-term problems and long-term problems. Short-term problems, maybe not having the mental load to do laundry, to do dishes, and not take a shower. That's what mental health does. And long-term problems are included in the poll I did, which got 51 participants, and the most common results for mental health issues was depression, PTSD, anxiety, and substance abuse. And these are all long-term problems that can all have long-term issues down the road for their entire life. Depression, PTSD problem, and substance abuse can cause problems to the body. It can be either alcohol, cigarettes, weed, just drugs. They can get off the street, it can cause serious health problems. And some victims may be beyond any professional help. They may not want to receive any professional help, have no interest in talking to someone to gain help. They may just be that tired to where they would rather lay in bed and do nothing than get help, because it is just that bad. Victims take the worst of it, and most of the time assaulters do not get anything. And mental health can get even worse because they want to keep incident to themselves because of the embarrassment, the shame they can receive. Some people do not want to be judged. Some people do judge victims because they could say, hey, why are you lying? Or they can make fun of the victims for even letting that happen. For allowing that to happen. They don't want to feel judged. They don't want to talk about it. And so they keep it to themselves, and they will continue to think about it to themselves without having the ability to talk to someone else. And that just stacks and stacks every day, and it becomes worse and worse. And actually, for teenage girls, 80% of them develop a mental health disorder. So most teenage girls that have been sexually assaulted will gain either depression, PTSD, anxiety, substance abuse, or many other mental health disorders. Now, mental health, huge issue, and you can see therapists, you can talk to your family, but it is a huge issue, and sexual assault will lead to more problems and longer problems. And it's a huge problem, basically. Yeah. And the second reason is that it happens to more than half of the people in the United States. That is a lot of people. Just imagine the people you see every day in a week. Most likely more than half of those people have been sexually assaulted. It doesn't matter if you know them, if you don't know them. They probably have been sexually assaulted, because according to Charlie Health, an American is sexually assaulted every 68 seconds. That is almost every minute someone is sexually assaulted. That can be not as small, but it can be as just a simple grope, or it can be as violent as penetration anywhere on the body. And over 433 sexual assault cases annually in the U.S. Again, so that's just cases. We don't know if they're solved cases, or if the victims dropped the cases, or if they got any justice. That is just how many come, and that is horrible. That is a large number annually. And here are the men versus women. 53% of women are sexually assaulted. That is more than half of the women in the United States. And 29% of men are sexually assaulted. It does not seem that much, but if you put it in terms of numbers, it is a lot. So women are more than likely to be sexually assaulted over a man, but that does not mean we should ignore the men simply because they are not as likely to be sexually assaulted. They have the same problems as we do. They can gain the same problems, and they have gone through the same trauma as other victims. And out of the 51 participants in my survey, 80.4% know someone or has been sexually assaulted. At a numbers, that is 41 out of 51 people. That is a lot of people. And now imagine that in a larger number scale of all the people. Say there's like 500,000 people, 400,000 have been sexually assaulted, and to me that is just a horrible thing, and it is. I don't understand how it doesn't have a larger scale. I don't understand how it's not talked about more. It is not shown on the news. It is not shown in articles. It's just something that needs to be grasped upon that happens to so many people, and people need to realize that we can stop it if we just help a little bit and we do not ignore the problems. And I feel like most of the problems are coming from the larger people that do not talk about it, and they tend to ignore it or take it to their advantage. Now the third reason, physical problems. Now the physical problems can be nausea, fatigue, insomnia, or they have difficulty concentrating. Now those are like nausea, they want to throw up at the thought of it. They don't want to do anything. They can't sleep at night because of the trauma their body has taken, and the difficulty concentrating just because that has happened in their life. And then other physical problems can be the diseases like HIV, any of the chlamydia that can happen in their body and may never leave their body. They may have bruises along their body, along their arms, their legs, and the genital area. Their hair may be taken off, may have been torn off. They may have bruises on their face. They have concussions. They have broken bones. Those are the physical problems. And maybe during the sexual assault, they could have been almost beaten to death and must be in a hospital. And again, mental health. Most people do not like hospitals because of the reason there, the trauma being there, and so many people being there. The physical problems, the list goes on, and it is horrible. And then they may have loss of control of their body. They feel dirty just from being sexually assaulted. The feeling of guilt and shame. These feelings may have issues with personal relationships decreasing. And what I mean by that is people avoiding family, isolating themselves, staying alone in their rooms, keeping feelings to themselves. And because of this, their relationships will decrease. So say a lover, a partner, a victim has a partner, and the victim keeps the things to themselves because they feel guilty, they feel ashamed, and they feel scared to talk to the partner about the assault that's happened, and the partner has no idea that a sexual assault has happened, and that will have the partner feeling guilty because they don't know what happened, and that may end up with the victim being cut off, the family cutting off the victim simply because they believe the victim is being rude, is being ignorant, but in reality they do not know what happened to the victim, and there are signs in the victim that can show that they have been sexually assaulted, and it is just up to the people to reach out. But we'll get into that in another part. But these are the physical problems, and it is a big issue. Now, for the specific groups, a specific group now is women. So, and as you can see, out of the 51 participants, 64.7 believe women are most likely to be assaulted. So out of the 51 participants, mostly people have chosen that women are to be more than sexually assaulted over men, and then a lot of them did also say they are equal. It is proven that women are more sexually assaulted than men, but I do not want to say they are wrong. It is their opinion. But as of 1998, 17.7 million women have been victims of attempted or completed rape. And on attempted and completed, even if it is attempted and not succeeded, that is still sexual assault. Someone had the intent to rape them, to grope them without their permission, to touch them sexually without their permission. It is still sexual assault, even if it was not completed. And then women are constantly harassed at the idea of being sexually assaulted by men around them. So what I mean by that is, because this is getting more big, people, not just men, but people, they make fun of women when they talk about being sexually assaulted or the idea of being sexually assaulted, because it happens so often. They make it as a threat. They laugh about it. It is happening all over the internet, and this may make women not want to speak about their situation, or may not want people to talk about it because they do not want to be harassed. They don't want to be made fun of for talking about sexual assault. And then 1 out of 6 women have been a victim of sexual assault. That is a small group. That is horrible. And sexual assault is so common with women. It is taught to every woman how to protect herself. That is correct. What I've heard a lot is that women are constantly, children, little girls, teenagers, they are taught how to protect themselves. They say wear the right clothing, long sleeve, wear pants, don't look at men, don't look at boys the wrong way, carry a gun, carry a knife, carry pepper spray, don't go in dark alleys. But what needs to be done is boys need to be taught, men need to be taught how to not do these things to other people, not just women, to other people. Assaulters need to be taught not to do this to other people. And note that most men are not taught how to control themselves. Women are sexually assaulted, they're being made fun of. It is a horrible thing to women, and I do believe men should also be talked about, but women have the biggest group of sexual assault. 1 out of every 6 women are sexually assaulted. Yeah. And another specific group are younger people. So out of the 51 participants in my poll, there was a tie between 13 to 17 age range and 18 to 34 of who was most likely to be sexually assaulted. Now, out of my research, is that those both are correct. Age ranges from 13 to 34, they are most likely to be sexually assaulted. And it is mostly teenagers that are sexually assaulted, and I want to say it is because young people are easily coerced to do things they know they shouldn't. Because younger people, they don't want to be embarrassed from their peers. They want to avoid embarrassment, and they want to seem cool and up to date with their friends. So older assaulters may take advantage of young people and say, hey, do this with me, I'll get you something, you'll be cool with your friends. They'll antagonize them, say, hey, I know your friends have all done this, why don't you want to join them? And just mess with their mind and the mental health they may already have. They want to avoid gaining more. 1 in 9 girls and 1 in 20 boys under the age of 18 experience sexual abuse or assault. And I want to say most of the time it is someone close to them, friends or family, that do the assault, and they are more easily coerced from someone that they know, and they don't want that person to hate them if they know them so much. If your best friend, their parent, a sibling, they do not want their sibling or family member to hate them, and so it is more easily coerced for the teenagers. And then younger people are so vulnerable that sexual assault could easily lead long-lasting effects. That means they are 4 times more likely to develop symptoms of drug abuse, and about 3 times more likely to experience a major depressive episode as adults. And what I mean by that is more middle-aged adults, they understand what is happening. They can understand what can come from it because they have grown up in the world. They know what type of world they're living in, and they may have more of an idea of how to get through the experience, of what they can do to avoid this from happening, and what they can do to the assaulter to get back to them. But younger people, most of the time, they have no idea what is happening to them. They are confused, they are scared, and they are hurt, which is why assaulters creep on them. And so, because they are so confused and they are scared to reach out for help, they turn to substance abuse because that is what they've seen in the world. They see their parents turn to alcohol, to drugs, and then being so confused and alone, that can turn into depression, anxiety, and teenagers already feel so alone. And with the rising mental health, sexual assault can lead to a landslide to these children's heads. So one of the solutions are, don't be a bystander. And what a bystander is a person who is present when an event takes place but isn't directly involved, or it is someone that witnesses a situation happening and they will simply walk by or think boys will be boys or think someone else will handle the situation. As I said, most sexual assault crimes are done by someone the victim knows, and there are signs from the victim and the assaulter. The assaulter, if obviously they could be clinging on to them more, they can be talking to them more, and the victim, they could have bruises, they're kept more to themselves, they're scared to talk to other people, they want to be away from the assaulter. You can see it, and you do not want to ignore and hope for someone else for the problem to go away. It is not going to go away, and being a bystander is almost as bad as being the assaulter. You know what's happening, and you decide not to do anything because you do not want to deal with it. But these victims are dealing with it, and they are most likely alone. And taking the right steps to protect someone, even if it is simple as walking with them at night, will prevent assault. And if all the people did these small steps, the overall number of sexual assaults will decline. What I mean by that is, it is so huge right now because the bystander effect is real, and everyone is so wrapped up in the world's problems that they want to deal with their problems. But if everyone takes a stand, and if everyone does something to someone, and if you see something, do something. And if everyone had that mentality to help the victim and stop the problem before it can even start, sexual assault will go down. Especially if most sexual assault crimes are done by someone the victims know, there's most likely a group, and you can stop it if you take the right steps, if you reach out to them, if you talk to the assaulter, and if you step in the middle, it can be stopped. And the victim will love you. They will appreciate it, and the mental health problems, they won't feel as alone because they know someone is seeing them, and they don't need to ask for help. They know someone will help them, and you need to be that person. Another solution is speaking out. And what I mean by speaking out is participating in social movements against sexual assault. That can either be making videos on social media, that can be going to protests, that can be talking about it with your peers, and you can also educate yourself on the issue, and educating yourself on the laws, on the statistics, on ways you can prevent it. Read the articles around the town that's happening. It is something that you need to speak out. If everyone speaks out, it can be heard, and it can be heard from the higher ups in the government, and they can actually do something about it. And you can also teach it to your own community. Offer help to the victims. That is the most important thing. Offering help to victims will help create yourself as a trusting ally to victims to reach out to you. You want to be someone that victims are not scared to talk to. You want to be someone who can speak out against this large problem and go to protest and just give people an out. Or you can speak out and you can bring other people to the issue, and you've already gotten 5 people and that know more about sexual assault, and they can help the science, and they may be able to help someone they know being sexually assaulted. And it is just a huge thing to speak out. Just simply going to one protest may create a domino effect. You go to a protest, your friend sees, they join, and their friends join, and then their family joins, and everyone, that domino effect, will know more about sexual assault, and they will have the ability to understand it and be able to stop it in the end. So the conclusion is, sexual assault is forcibly touching someone without consent in a sexual manner. So if they say no, it is a no. No means no. And it is a genuine problem because of how many people it affects, the mental health problems that occur, and the long-term, short-term problems that can come along with it. The specific groups that are targeted are women at the age groups of 12 to 34, and ways that you can help are avoiding the bystander effect and speaking out against these types of actions. And I want to say, this is such a huge issue in the United States that it needs to be taken more seriously. It needs to be talked about way more. And there are so many signs that there are obvious signs that people see and ignore. And there are people that we've in our government that have done these things and we ignore it. And I feel like it needs to be taken seriously. This is someone's life in another person's hands. An assaulter can change a victim's life dramatically. Some people have the ability to get over it, and some people do not have the ability to get over it. And both of those are okay. It is a traumatizing problem, and it is a traumatizing thing that can happen to your body. And the United States needs to stop ignoring it. It is a huge problem. And we need to stop, as a society, we need to stop making fun of others. We need to stop judging others. It is something we cannot control that happens to people. And I believe it needs to be taught in schools. It needs to be taught how to say no. It needs to be taught how to accept the word no. And it is a huge problem to women, huge problem to men, huge problem to children. And sexual assault is just something that needs to be stopped. And these are my references, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and I hope you can understand why this is such a big problem, and I hope I put more knowledge into you, and I want you to be able to reach out to your friends, to your family, to strangers that may have been sexually assaulted, and give them what they need. Thank you.